Drivers of Reddit, what do see other drivers do that instantly makes you think they're not a good driver? I once saw somebody using 2 phones at once. He was talking on one and texting on the other. Your move, Darwin. Driving down to Eugene from Portland, around 115 miles in a straight line, and I passed someone who was literally reading a book while going 75. I only noticed because he would occasionally drift near the other lane before quickly correcting. The person who doesn't know when to use and when not to use high beam. Or if one of their low beams is out, so they think it's a great idea to use their high beams to compensate. When driving in small residential streets without the center dividing white line, the driver coming from the opposite side has no spatial awareness and drives in middle of the street, making me almost hit my tires on my side of the curb to avoid a collision. Gets my blood boiling every time. Or when there are 2 cars moving towards each other on one of those streets and there are curb parked cars on their side, and instead of pulling off to the side they just play chicken with you and hope you pull over. Except by the time you reach each other you're just staring at each other like 2 trains on the same track. People who freak out when I have to stop at a green light because I can't clear the intersection and don't want to block the box. Similarly, people who tailgate when the car in front of me is going slow. In both scenarios I want to scream I can't drive through other cars. Also, people who don't treat an intersection like a 4-way stop when the lights are out, which is the law where I am. What a clusterfuck. It gets to the point where it's dangerous to obey that law. In downtown Austin they've been cracking down on people who block the box, and they should do that everywhere. I'm never mad when someone stops at green if there's no room for them after the light. They're following the rules. Having their lights off at dusk, well, I don't really see them doing it, but you get the idea. At a 4-way stop, I clearly get there second, yet you wave me on. I hate you so much. Yes, pay attention to the order of cars arriving at the stops, and go your turn. It's not courteous to wave someone on. It fricks up the flow of traffic. I saw the guy playing a trumpet while driving in the fast lane in traffic. I think I personally know that guy. Changing lanes without signaling. It's the simplest thing to do and it helps everyone around you know what you're doing. Or waiting until the last minutes to switch lanes before lights. Passing everyone at Mach 5 in the left lane, which ain't fine, but then cutting diagonally across 3 lanes to get to their exit because they're too important to get over to the right lane before their exit comes up. When I switch lanes to pass them for being dumb, then they decide a second later they want back in front of me. When they take a turn slower than a hypothermic snail. Disclaimer, I live in the south where we hardly ever have icy roads. I understand when black ice is a thing. A similar one, when they have a separate turning lane to go into, and are able to go into that lane long before the turn. But they don't move from the driving lane to the turning lane until after they've already slowed way down with traffic behind them. The way they brake, you don't have to use your brakes all the freaking time. You can coast to the dang red light and minimally use your brakes. Also, when there is nothing in front of someone and they are still using their brakes or hard braking as if they're trying to brake check the people behind them, you want to slow down because a car is in front of you? Let go of the gas and coast. This saves money for fuel and eases up on wear and tear of your car. My favorite is the 2-foot drivers. Right foot on gas, left on brake. Can be spotted easily by the fact that they tend to accelerate while the brake lights are still on. I stay the heck away from these turkeys because the brake lights are completely meaningless at that point. I hate when people wave other people on, yielding their right of way. Right of way is there for a reason and it's safer and more predictable for everyone if you just take your turn when you're supposed to. I cycle and this is huge for me. Follow the freaking give way rules. I base my decisions and safety on them. Someone decides to let another person in traffic, or turn through traffic, and that person usually doesn't check their surroundings. They just assume the first person did. Go really slow in the left lane, oblivious to everything around them. Lot of these in SoCal. Misplaced courtesy. This is written for countries where you drive on the right. The classic example is 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. We'll call it north and south. A southbound driver wants to turn left, that is, east, that is, into oncoming traffic. The northbound driver in the inside lane wants to be nice, so she stops and lets the southbound driver in to start his turn. The problem is, nobody told this to the northbound driver in the outside lane, who's under no obligation to stop or slow down. Best case scenario, the southbound driver can't see what's going on in the northbound outside lane, thanks to the idiot in the inside lane. Worst case scenario, southbound driver hits a car in the outside lane. The rules of the road are there for a reason. Don't freaking improvise. They drive a champagne Camry. An inordinate amount of these cars on the road have battle damage and are filled with drivers that make poor decisions, or more often than not, no decisions. As soon as I see the champagne color on anything, I know the driver is not ever going to get to the speed limit. All the following behaviors make me give people a wide berth. Drifting in their lane, unable to maintain a consistent speed, inattention at lights, and I don't mean instantly moving off at a green light. I mean, the 4 cars in front of you have moved and you're sitting there still getting your crap together. Indicator stuck on. Changing lanes as you're indicating. Use that indicator for a few seconds beforehand and I can give you a bit of space. Failing to accelerate to the speed of the traffic when trying to merge onto a freeway. Drifting across lanes when going through roundabouts or around corners. Egg. Turn from the innermost lane on a corner, end up 1 lane across by magic somehow. Timid when turning into traffic. Egg. Space for at least 3 cars coming up in that oncoming traffic near you. I'll wait until I can't see any cars on the horizon before I move. Timid when turning into traffic. Egg. Space for at least 3 cars coming up in that oncoming traffic. No. I'll wait until I can't see any cars on the horizon before I move. Recently got my permit. I do that very often. I have bad nightmare about this situation. Stop at freaking roundabout. People that slow to almost a stop when merging onto a highway. People screaming into their phone, usually on speaker. Seeing a car swerve for more than 10 seconds. Getting tailgated. Low riders, having their seat pushed all the way back and their eyes are lower than the dashboard. Drivers who block the passing lane. To me it automatically suggests that they aren't paying attention to the cars driving around them. This sort of lack of awareness is infuriating because it causes traffic jams. When a driver doesn't get out of the fast lane for faster traffic. Going 65 in the fast lane when everyone else is freaking going 75-80 plus. The worst. Pulling left or right before turning the opposite direction. Sometimes people will even get about half of their car across the double yellow lines before turning right. Always makes me think they shouldn't be allowed on the road. Not switching lanes when there is a disabled or emergency vehicle on the shoulder. Way too many people die from this. The law in many states is to change lanes or slow down. So many people do both, or neither. Not behavior, but whenever I see a car covered in dents and scratches, I give it a wide berth. In fairness, my car is covered in scratches but I've never caused an accident while driving it. I live just off a college campus and the other drivers in my area are about as skilled as they are considerate. At least the most recent one actually left a note. Writing this from my experience I had as an EMT before I went back to school. The wave of death is one of the worst. This is when you're at a stop sign or slowed traffic and you wave a pedestrian by without checking behind you. If you had checked behind you, you might have realized the guy who was late to work aggressively overtaking you. But you didn't, and you waved the pedestrian by, and now that pedestrian is dead. Whenever I see people giving the wave of death, that's when I think you're an incompetent driver. This is also why it is illegal to pass a car that has stopped at an intersection or at a crosswalk here. It is one of the most dangerous things you can do in a car, and you'll lose your license instantly if caught. No lights on in the rain at dusk dawn. Oh buddy. Race to a red light. I drive 9 hours per day. Here's my list. Just being in a car in the greater Los Angeles area. Not use turn signal. Drive a Dodge Challenger or a Hummer, or have an entirely pink car. Vanity plate, that bee will cut you off. Tailgating, you should be shot. Blocking the intersection. Tailing other drivers. People who stick to your front bumper are the most annoying. Slowing down below the speed of traffic when changing lanes. Speeding in a snow or ice storm. Jacassery multiplied by slick roads equals a bad time. When the C cut me off instead of waiting all of 2 seconds for me to pass them. No, it's okay. Let me slam my brakes so you can get in front of me and then drive slow as crap. I can't stand when people come to a complete stop at a yield sign when it's clearly obvious no traffic is coming. Those people who honk as the light turns green and there are still pedestrians crossing legally. Honestly, if they are driving a pickup truck, I live in Texas, and a lot of drivers have huge, obnoxious trucks. Every now and then, I'll come across one who is courteous and safe, goes the speed limit, signals, etc. But for every 10 of these guys, I've come across 9 who apparently think all traffic laws, and several laws of physics, don't apply to them. If you try to merge into their lane, they will speed up to prevent you from doing so. If you try to pass them, they will gun it to pass you first while giving you the finger or some dumb smirk. If you try to slow down at a yellow stoplight, they will rev up behind you, lay on their horn, swerve into the lane beside you and blast through the, now red, light. And half of them have some loud ass country song blaring with the bass all the way up, because I guess that improves the musical experience or some crap. I have developed an unapologetic hatred for most trucks. Also Texas, I saw a pickup stop at a red light. He waited about 30 seconds, then just went through it. A cop was parked on construction duty right behind him and didn't do a thing. Never use turn signals. Weirdly enough, it annoys me more when someone indicates as they're turning. Yes, I can see you're turning. You're halfway into my freaking lane already. Bit late there, buddy. So many things. I swear my mantra when driving is I'm surrounded by morons. Actually, the best advice I got given when learning to drive was assume that nobody is following the road rules. The ones that have nearly gotten me into accidents so far are, being cut off from the inner lane on one particular roundabout. Has happened on both the entrances and exits, and it's always soccer mums in cars too big for them. Dark cars suddenly not being able to find the switch for their headlights at dusk and during rain. Tailgating. Just don't be an ashat driver. I can guarantee it will end poorly for your insurance premium and paint job. Just the other day I saw someone make a right turn from the left-hand lane. WTF. Tailgating me when I'm already going 5 miles over the speed limit, especially in a huge truck or SUV. I drive a very small car. I'm not getting a ticket because someone wants to get somewhere 30 seconds faster. Especially when there's an empty freaking passing lane right next to you and they're too goddamn inbred and stupid to use it and get the frick out of your life. I feel so strongly about this one. Tapping the brakes for no apparent reason, like no cars in front of them, no pedestrians around, driving the speed limit. This is Girl Pepe, she only appears once in every 50,000 memes, like in 3 seconds for good luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.